Dave from Two Dudes
What's
Reviews.
going on? It's been a while, man.
It's been a minute, yes.
Yeah.
Life happens and things change, and here we are, Christmas, the day after Christmas, and we're having our Christmas dinner tonight, and we're gonna actually check out what I just got recently, in the last week or two, is the Slow and Sear. So if you're not familiar with the Slow and Sear, it works. There's a couple of different, apparatus that work with a Weber kettle.
Right.
You've got your, let's get the leaves out of them, but you've got the baskets that come with the Weber kettle, where you can put one on each side and you can cook down the middle, and it's good for indirect heat. But I find the baskets, if you want to cook on just one side, are difficult because you got to try and kind of fit them and stack them in there, and you lose a lot of the real estate that you would have over here on the cool side.
Gotcha.
That you call the cool side of your grill when you're doing indirect cooking. So the great thing about the Slow and Sear is that it covers about a third of the kettle, and it has a water reservoir. So normally, when you're smoking something low and slow, you're going to put a pan of water on the bottom. We're not going to do that today. So today we're going to do it was 13-pound bone-in standing rib roast.
Prime rib.
And prime rib. People call it prime rib, standing rib roast, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's a ribeye, big old ribeye roast, right? We removed the bones, trimmed it up, put a butter. So the entire thing is just coated in butter, with spices in there. So herbs, I fresh herbs like rosemary, thyme, garlic, and then a Java rub.
Okay.
Inside that herb, that butter.
Now, if you were cooking at a high temperature, you probably wouldn't want to use all that butter. Yes or no?
Well, you don't want to cook at a high temperature anyway. That's the best way to ruin a prime rib.
Yeah. Okay.
That whole 500 degrees in the oven thing. Don't listen to me. AmazingRibs.com will tell you that that's the worst way to cook a prime rib. Why? Because you get a whole bunch of crusty, great goodness on the outside and a whole bunch of gray meat until you get to the middle where your medium rare is about this big.
Yeah.
And you get a little pink section in the middle. What we're going for today is pink, edge to edge, and then a crust on the outside, and that's what reverse sear does.
Okay.
So the Slow and Sear. So we're going to start one side, and we're going to burn it, and it's just going to burn all the way across. We're going to maintain 225. We're going to put the bones in the pan in the bottom here. We're going to set the roast on the grate on top of that, and all that butter, those juices will roast the bones and make gravy. That's our goal with this whole thing today. Okay. So step number one is to light the Slow and Sear, and once that's done, we'll come back once we're ready to put the roast on. But I'm just going to go ahead and light up my little tumbleweed in there with my Slow and Sear, with my charcoal. I'm using lump charcoal today. So
is there a reason lump charcoal is better than briquettes? I
don't know that it's better than briquettes. It's just what I have. I kind of like the flavor. This is hickory. I want to say hickory and oak smoke. At least the wood is hickory. So I'm not going to use a lot of smoke chips. My wife doesn't like heavy smoke. So we're not going to heavily smoke this prime rib. We're going to let it cook the way it was supposed to be cooked, and that's perfectly medium rare. Let's let the meat speak for itself.
The roast. So that's a massive roast. Who else is coming over?
It's just going to be me and you, Jave. We might let the girls have a little bit, but for the most part, no. We got some other people coming over. Anyway, the grill is up to temp, and we took a couple of photos, maybe some stills, but we've got the ribs in the pan underneath. I didn't put anything else in that in the pan because the fat from this butter coated rib roast is going to just drip right all over that meat, and it's gonna cook the ribs, and it's gonna make juice in the bottom. Our Slow and Sear has a center channel that you fill with water, and that helps to regulate temperature. So we've got our coals going. We're at 225 to 230 degrees. I'm just gonna take this roast, and
I'll hold this.
Set this right on top of this grate, centered over the pan.
So you have your heat surface here, your water here, and this is a bit cooler.
Yep.
We're talking how many pounds on the rib?
It's 8 pounds. I think 8 pounds net.
Okay.
So it started at 13
with the bones.
With bones, we took the bones off. I trimmed about 2 pounds of fat off of this.
Okay.
So we're just going to drop our probe in the end there.
Looking at about 3 hours.
Probably 3 to 4 hours to go ahead and get this roast up to 125 degrees, where we'll pull it. We'll let it rest for probably 20 or 30 minutes. And then we will stoke up the fire on the other side, and we're going to sear it on the outside to make sure we get that amazing, beautiful, crispy crust. All right, so here we are with our roast. We are at 125 degrees internal. The Slow and Sear did a great job of maintaining about 130 to 140 degrees of heat, and the coals have just kind of burned all the way underneath. So it looks like it's going to do a really good job. We're going to go ahead and leave it open. We're going to move the coals around a little bit to get it to fire back up. But while we do that, while we're waiting for that, we're going to go ahead and pull that, and we're going to take this roast. We're going to wrap it in foil and just let it rest for a minute.
Look at that. That thing looks beautiful, and it smells great.
Yeah, look at the color on that. It's I don't know if I can get this up here to the camera. I don't know if it's showing or not, but just so you can see that nice, wonderful, crusty, dark herb rub that we put on there. And we're going to roll that up. We're going to let this rest. We're going to stoke up these coals, and we're going to sear this sucker off just to make sure that we've got a hard crust on there that's going to be fantastic when we slice through. Hopefully, if this comes out right, it's going to be perfectly medium rare all the way through the center with just a little bit of crusty outside.
Hey, and by the way, in case you have a significant other that wants to make figgy pudding, with the entree here, we're only left with maybe a quarter cup of drippings in there. Yeah. I was expecting quite a bit more because of the oil content.
Yeah.
But perhaps
half a pound of butter went right out into that, and it doesn't appear to be all over the grill. The roast was right on top.
Yeah.
But the bones underneath, by the way,
bones look delicious.
Look fantastic. So we'll have to check those out.
Yeah, that's another dinner right there.
It is another dinner right there. Yeah. We're back for the final reveal.
Hang on a second. I hear if you eat a couple of green beans beforehand, it helps kill the COVID.
Jave, by all means, just put your finger in the food. No problem, buddy.
Delicious.
All right, so here we go. Slicing the end piece off. So when we talk about sear in the rear, perfectly medium rare all the way, and then you got your crust on the outside. This is how your prime rib should come out if you do it right. And the Slow and Sear made this very, very easy. Almost effortless on my part. If you want to do a prime rib with a Slow and Sear on a Weber Kettle, this is the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. And by the way, I remember our ribeye video.
Yes.
A lot of folks were saying that it looked overdone at the final video because some of the color representation doesn't match up with the camera here. But I can tell you, here in person, this is gray, about quarter of an inch, if that, and then pink all the way through, and a little bit of gray and crust on the end. So perfectly cooked. Nice job.
Fantastic. Okay, the producer is telling me to taste it. Oh my God, it's the best prime rib I've ever had. It is pretty good. Until next time, it's Andy and Jave. Two Dudes Reviews.
Yo!